Hello and welcome to Gallifreyan Gatherings, episode 2. Today we are discussing Boom, written by Stephen Moffat. My name is Scott.
Oh God, I don't know who he's pointing to. Oh God, he's pointing at me, and I'm Josh.
And I'm Alex.
All right, so
We've got this down to a science, an art even.
oh
I
yeah,
had to pull up the stream to figure out who he was pointing to.
you have my camera in front of you.
Yeah, but you're pointing at Alex.
I'll point at both of you. Calm
We're
down.
going,
Okay.
we're going in descending order of importance. That makes me last. You go next, Josh.
All right. So
But
before
I'm
we get
less of a
into
person than you.
Boom proper, there is one thing I wanted to add that I missed during Space Babies. I had a feeling that it was important, but I couldn't figure out why until today.
Okay, give us some context before.
So
you give
the doctor
reveal.
asks Ruby what year she wants to go to. Just give him a number. He goes 2, 1, 5, 0, pauses. Long pause. 6.
Yeah.
2150. For those who have watched Classic Who or the Peter Cushing movies, 2150 is when the doctor left Susan behind on Earth, his granddaughter. Now, we have had a mention of Susan this season.
Mhm.
We've had a reference to 2150. The character that keeps appearing is named Susan.
The character or
Or
the actress?
the actress.
Yeah.
And there's always a twist at the end, a Susan twist maybe. I think we're going to see Susan I think we're going to see Susan somehow this season, whether it's Carol Ann Ford. I would love, not Carol Ann Ford. Is that her name?
What if Susan Twist is Susan?
Yeah, Carol Ann Ford. Or Mrs. Flood, because Mrs. Flood knew about the TARDIS. We don't know, but there's definitely hints. There's hints, and
Well, I think there's even hints in our epilogue scene this week.
And outside of the show, Russell T Davies, before the season ever began, commented on someone's, I think it was a tweet, about Susan, and he said playfully, "I wonder whatever happened to her."
There's always a twist at the end.
I think we're going to see
Oh.
Susan this season. Anyway, taking off the tinfoil hat this for now. Anyway, let's
Can
get
we-
in to
Can we
Boom.
make a vaguely TARDIS shaped tinfoil hat for you at this point?
I will try to work on that.
That'd be great.
It's
that
gotta
would be-
it's
that would
gotta
be
be
awesome.
Sennheiser headphone compatible.
I could just
Oh,
just pop them back if I have to.
Okay. We won't need to wear the tinfoil hat for long, so we don't need to worry about long-term comfort. Okay. Yeah.
True.
No,
So-
we don't care about comfort.
Speak for yourself.
Boom. So
Oh, here comes the boom.
we start with a cold open
We do.
of a soldier leading a blind man through a battlefield, through a minefield, as we find out. He does mention, or the guy that's leading him does mention that the enemies that they're fighting are in the fog or possibly made of fog. We also get a mention of the ambulance, and he kind of hints that the ambulances are not something you really want to run into.
Yeah, the way the ambulances are introduced, they're definitely given an enemy vibe.
We then cut
It's just a
To-
real world ambulance. They cost a life.
the blind man calling his daughter, and
We see molar radar or radio technology, which is pretty all right.
and then this is where they actually mention the minefield and the ambulance and all that. And we then cut to two Anglican Marines talking.
I gotta say, like, through all of this, I don't know. Is it common in a normal story of Doctor Who for the first 3 minutes of the episode to be so jargon filled that you kind of lose your mind?
Sometimes
the amount of jargon that was thrown at me in these first few scenes was very, oh yeah, you're a part of this universe, right? Yeah, totally. Let's just go with it.
Well, they're
That's
aliens.
That's a Stephen Moffat thing. That
Okay.
You may not like the 11th Doctor's era if you're not okay with that.
It didn't bother me. It just stood out. There was just so much jargon thrown around.
Something I would like to mention that you guys may not know. So they're already filming season 2, and they have announced that Virata Sethu, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I'm probably massacring the name, is going to be a companion in the second season. And look who we get.
That's her?
That's her. But we also have confirmation that her story is done. Mundy's story is done in this episode, so how are we going to see her next season?
That was so not my understanding of Monday's story because, and this is getting way ahead of ourselves at the moment, but because we brought it up, I have to respond. Doctor says, I'll be dropping in from time to time.
Yeah.
There's the connection made for, well, you should just marry Ruby. There's a deliberate connection drawn between the characters and a recurrence implied by the Doctor. I mean, like, we've been given every amount of foreshadowing. If this is stronger foreshadowing than the I can call you in any time and space MacGuffin that was introduced in the first 2 episodes.
So I will say Russell T Davies now
is a MacGuffin. It's Chekhov's gun, and you need to turn yourself up because I'm gonna talk over you, Josh, if you're that quiet.
I honestly I think the phone thing was just a callback to when he did it in the older seasons when Russell brought Doctor Who back. I think it was just a callback. It's probably going to get used. I don't know. So another thing is that the Anglican Marines, we have seen them before. Josh, do you know where we've seen the Anglican Marines before?
Oh God, it's been a minute since I've watched Doctor Who, so probably not.
Okay. We have seen them in the Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone, and in A Good Man Goes to War. All 11th Doctor stories.
Yeah.
So the first 2 stories sound like they probably involve the and this is everybody who loves Doctor Who is going to hate me in this podcast. Let's just let that be a running theme. But what are the angels called? The like stone gargoyle angel things that like
the weeping angels.
Yeah.
The weeping angels. That are any of these weeping angel stories?
The first 2 are.
Okay, all right. So I'm picking up some
honestly
threads that are literally hit you over the head. If you don't get it, you're not understanding anything.
The Weeping Angels started off, up here, and then they just progressively.
Yeah.
Isn't there a scene of one of them levitating up a flight of stairs like a Dalek? Or am I thinking of the Dalek levitating?
You're thinking of a Dalek, and you're thinking of the episode Dalek from the 9th Doctor's era.
Okay, I've seen the bit. I haven't seen the episode.
Possibly Remembrance of the Daleks, less likely, but that was where they first levitated up the stairs.
I mean, I'm not saying it was a stunt, but there might have been wires.
So
it could be either.
It was probably CG. Something I did want to just make a note of, even though we're not quite there yet, I love how claustrophobic this episode is.
It didn't.
The fact that it just takes place in like one little area.
Or was it more about how the camera felt?
It's just, so we've had these big, phenomenal, fantastical adventures, and then it just kind of shrunk down, and it was just the Doctor in one spot, and it just he couldn't really move. He couldn't move.
It was very isolated. The cast of characters was really quite small, if you think about it.
Absolutely. I think it was a bottle episode, but I mean, it was a bottle episode.
Bottle episode mean?
It's where you have like one or two sets that you use, and they're usually standing sets or easy to build sets that you don't have to, do huge amount of things for. Now, obviously, the crater they did have to do a lot of things for. They did use the volume, which is that AR wall. It's really cool that we've seen in so many other sci-fi productions.
Do they have a volume studio over in the UK, or did they come over here?
No, they used one over there, I think.
Okay. That technology is really interesting.
Now the base that they used for the Anglican Marines was actually part of it was the Bad Wolf Studios building, which was a clever use.
All right.
So we have these two talking, Mundy and Canto or Canterbury. And then they kind of flirt a little bit, but she makes it seem like he doesn't like her, even though we find out later he might. Why is it not letting me?
He definitely loves her.
There we go. They continue.
It's so nice seeing at the very end that they get together.
Okay, go ahead.
So we go back to the minefield. We get to kind of see the ambulance off in the distance. Again, keeping your enemy kind of out of focus makes it a little bit scarier. We do get a mention here that they are combat activated. The person in front,
terrifying.
Guy's name is Carson. He falls into a crater, stands on a mine. The mine lights up, and boom. He gone.
He got hoovered up by a Roomba.
Almost like he is the dust or the fog.
We then get our first of many Susan Twist cameos this episode. Keeps coming back. What does it all mean? Well, you all know what
They couldn't hire anyone else?
So the mine exploding activates the combat sensors of the ambulance, who then heads toward Vader, John Francis Vader. Find out that, his blindness is only temporary. And we get thoughts and prayers.
Absolute favorite lines.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who's not woke at all anymore, is it?
No, it's the fact that it never was woke before, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, why is it so woke now? It's always been
Have
woke.
to go back into the archives and show me, who has never seen Doctor Who, whether or not this woke thing is new or not.
When we continue the episodes of the podcast, we will get there, particularly with the Green Death. John Pertwee's era was very, very political. So anyway, obviously this is a dig at the ultra-right conservative. In American they're conservative. I don't remember if they're the same in
They could be equated to, basically this would be the Tories for any UK viewers, but for Americans who might be watching this, yes, you might be familiar with thoughts and prayers as one of the things that are always said after many of our sons and daughters die needlessly.
Yeah, they keep sending us thoughts and prayers and their children.
And
anyway.
it seems to remain effective as ever.
This is a phrase used instead of doing anything meaningful to fix problems.
This quickly turned into D&D.
Are we aware that literally this podcast is going to turn into an offshoot of Distraction and Discussion? That you put me into a political show that I enjoy. How did you not expect this?
Well, look, some of the episodes are going to be political, and we will touch on those a little
others
bit.
are going to have space babies.
And the others are going to have space babies and giant space farts.
One also was, we had the abortion and we had the healthcare commentary. So I mean, we're gonna get some flavors of that. I don't think that, the makers of Doctor Who are really gonna waste their time with not trying to send a message they believe in.
Absolutely.
And I am here for it, so this just keeps getting better. I hope that they stick to a few themes every now and again, and really just, go with the pacing a little bit. This one, I think this episode was much better paced to that point.
Oh, it's way better.
Stephen Moffat is fantastic at writing scripts. Not as much as a showrunner. Good at writing scripts.
I like the kind of interplay too, because this will help with the pacing of the season at large, probably. I will say I love this one's commentary more than the third episode, but I love the bombastic villain of the Maestro so much. I think I still like episode 3 more. It was so good. The Maestro was so good and so much fun to watch. But but honestly, I think I want more of this too. So, let's get back to it.
So, the ambulance scans Vader and finds that he is going to be blind for 4 weeks, which is an unacceptable amount of time. And she then eliminates him.
Sorry for your loss. Or for your upcoming loss, I think is the line.
Yes.
And he signs off.
Would you like to record a message after the beep? Yeah. I thought was also pretty chilling.
Kiss, kiss.
Kiss, kiss.
Yeah. Which
you can't say I love you.
We'll come back later.
So we do also get a mention of Villengard, which has been mentioned previously as well.
Oh, where was it?
In the episode The Doctor Dances, 9th Doctor episode. And Villengard was shown in Twice Upon a Time as well. So Doctor and Ruby then land on this planet. Doctor steps out of the TARDIS, hearing a scream, and says to Ruby, someone's in trouble, and he dashes off.
He has no chill whatsoever. He is arguably less cautious than the companion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which is usually not that way.
I was gonna say
usually the companions are the ones running off.
Is this the regular behavior? I have actually some
no.
We'll get to it, but I think there's got to be some oddities to this Doctor's behavior.
Kind of makes me wonder if Ruby is Susan, because like Susan using a chameleon arch.
What?
Hold on. Using a chameleon arch would make her human.
I need a hat.
Would make her human. Say she's just after regeneration, regenerated into a baby, chameleon arched, boom, human. Appears human to all scans. Doesn't have the memories, but in the subconscious, it's still there. She seems like she knows. It's almost like she's been in a time machine before, making sure that it's safe to go outside, making sure that they are dressed appropriately for the era.
I'm not sure. I feel like you're also judging off of horror movie logic here for the previous companions, because if you were in this situation in real life, if you took even a second to think about the implications of what was going on, you would ask at least those 2 questions.
You would think.
No. Just back into time travel.
So, Doctor runs off, trying to search for whoever was screaming in agony, steps on a landmine.
Again, I'm not really concerned. I'm not really sure why he's so concerned if he has no prime directive.
He's the Doctor. He helps people. That's his modus operandi.
Yeah, it's his words.
But why? Okay, all right.
And then we cut to the intro, and Ruby leaves the TARDIS. Here's the Doctor singing the Sky Boat song, a Scottish song, and she finds him standing on a mine on one leg, and he asks her to describe the mine. And we get an explanation of why the mine has not gone off yet.
He thinks he knows what he's standing on, but he'd still like a description.
Wants to make sure. Yeah.
And Ruby's curious.
She cautiously approaches before giving this description as well.
Where we get an info dump of what this mine is.
And Ruby's curious why the mine has lights. And I really like the line, "Oh, flashy lights play well in a showroom," which just kind of tells you how much of a big business war has become.
Death by salesman is one of the lines that I liked because that's very much a play on the play Death of a Salesman.
Mm-hmm.
I love my stream of consciousness thought here. It's capitalism makes death and murder flashy and sellable.
It's not already?
No, it makes it more so. It's this is selling death machines on a showroom floor levels of evil.
Now, we have gotten this sort of thing in Star Wars previously, where
I was going to bring this up with Canto because I could not stop thinking of Canto Bite.
Where we have companies that are supplying both sides in a war just to make profit. It's a war for profit.
It's an all-side supplier that's been lasting 200 years, if I remember correctly, which I don't know. It wasn't made clear to me whether that's the Doctor giving off information that he only knows because he remembers this. He's been to a time after this, or if it's known to the other people that this has actually been ongoing this long. I guess it kind of feels like the former.
Yeah, he generally has an idea of where he's at, when he's at, and the things before and after and what have you.
So here's where we get the reference to Indiana Jones. This is straight up Indiana Jones mechanic. Golden Idol levels of technology is happening right now. What, you got something to say, Josh?
No.
Something
I felt very uncomfortable with this. What comes up.
Something I've noticed is music has been a very integral part of this season. We didn't really get any music in Space Babies, but we did in The Church on Ruby Road. We did in The Devil's Chord, and now again here in Boom.
I forgot they did a musical number there too.
In which?
In Ruby Road. With the Goblin King.
Michelle says I should give her credit for that one.
You should.
Deserve it.
We'll cut it out in post, though.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, Doctor sends Ruby to try to find the person that was screaming and also asks her to find something heavy so that he can put his foot down. Doctor seems very tense, obviously. And Ruby finds the casket, which is a vacuum-packed corpse.
Not
we
the
don't
flesh
know
tube.
We don't know that it's a casket yet. But the audience can assume it at this point. It looks fairly obvious. Like you see kind of like an eyeball structure on the side of this pseudo-phallic item.
God, I felt like it was just made out of flesh too, with a cap on it.
So I was watching
a review. It seems to have like a fleshy exterior, right?
Yeah,
I was watching a review of this, and they complained that it looked too plasticky. But I'm thinking, if it's vacuum sealed, it's going to have a plastic wrapping on it.
I fucking hope it's vacuum seal.
I honestly would have wanted it to look more vial or beaker like or something, like obviously encased in glass. It didn't to me register as encased in glass, more like I honestly bought the idea of smelting much more than contained. I actually
Yeah.
like I'd never got the vacuum sealed vibe. I actually kind of got like this theremin kind of like imagine a theremin in the background playing as you're like, yes, he was smelted into an ingot. Like I kind of got that it was an ingot and there was no container. The exterior was still flesh.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, if that's the case, then
I
it did look too plasticky.
Yeah, because I
yeah.
felt like it happened just like they did the toy maker in the end of the special, where he just folded up. But they're just like, yeah, you know what? Fuck this, and molded them.
I think it was somewhere in the middle there, and I would have wanted either the very obvious vial or a little bit different handling of the smelting, like make it ingot shaped or something.
We then get some drones flying overhead, vacuuming up the smoke. And the doctor explains that they vacuum up the smoke so no one chokes to death before they're safely shot.
Yeah, nice.
Another good line.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fog. I think it's people dust from stepping on the mines.
Could be. It's fog of war. So,
very literally.
Ruby tells the doctor what she found. Doctor describes what it is. Kind of gory. I like it. You kind of see that eyeball on there.
Not only does he describe what it is, but he performs the highest challenge rating roll for a visual pat down that has ever happened in any D&D game ever. That man rolls at least a 40 on on like a challenge rating of 2 for that visual pat down. He gives like 8 decimal places places after the decimal for its weight characteristic. He crit successed on a crit success. It was total nonsense, and
Flip it.
It's something the doctor would be able to do.
I need you to throw it and catch it. I'm sorry, what?
Like catch
what happens
with it.
if she would have missed?
Yeah, right.
It would have been hilarious.
It just starts oozing out the flesh.
So he asks her to toss it to him. She defies him. He forbids it. She does it anyway. I like that kind of back and forth dynamic between the two, where she's not just going to follow him just because she's not just going to do everything that he says just because he says so.
I wrote here the high tension landmine handoff makes the Doctor and Ruby's chemistry really show again. Like this was where I think they're acting from like Space Babies. I thought their chemistry in Space Babies was exceedingly good. I feel like we got less of that wonderful chemistry in the third episode with the Maestro. And we got even less of it in this episode, but right here was where I was really enthralled with the way that they interact with each other. I thought it was really great, and I have to also after right before we get the handoff, we get a whole lot of philosophical stalling tactics.
Oh my
from
god,
the Doctor, which was just fantastic. I loved how manic he gets when he's nervous.
Mm-hmm. And no argument, doctor. Blood pressure. I liked that little quip from her. Like, I'm in charge right now. Nothing you can do about it.
I have all of the leverage in this moment.
And blown up.
You are brave, wonderful, and I forgive you for being incredibly stupid.
And if I survive,
I'm gonna be really, really mad.
Be very cross with you. And I love the use of cross. That's one of my favorite Britishisms. Though I have to ask here, how common is it for the Doctor to cry?
I wouldn't say very frequent.
Yeah.
However,
2 tears this episode.
yes, and I don't necessarily know that those were tears of sadness, maybe a little bit of being scared, but also like he's panicking. He's keeping his eyes open for long periods of time, and that's going to cause your eyes to water and drip. So I think that may have been a big part of it as well.
I will say that they were placed in emotionally charged moments. So I think
that is true.
I think if anything, I'd say at least one of them, if not both of them, were a product of terror. Because we've seen in every episode up to this point, the Doctor, if you account for that being a terror emotive, we have seen the Doctor be scared in every episode, like genuinely scared.
Everything's playing at 17 hertz.
So
everything is at 17 hertz.
I thought I had gotten a screenshot of how plasticky it looked there. The skin would not be that shiny.
I mean, have you ever vacuum sealed raw meat? Like, kind of gives a shininess when it's really compressed up against some kind of container wall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really buy the criticism, honestly.
Doctor looks very scared. Ruby diffuses the tension with a joke, and she has him sing and gives him this corpse, this casket, this body. And
I tried so long to find out if she was snapping with her index finger or her middle finger. I think it's her middle finger, but she holds her index finger in. I spent an unnecessary amount of time analyzing the way that she did snapping.
So he does.
What?
They do manage
seriously,
to.
When she snaps, she holds in her index finger and snaps in, whereas like usually a lot of people will have their index finger splayed out as they snap.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, like you'll see that when she
comfortable
snaps,
though.
Yeah, like it's not uncomfortable, so it's fine. But I was like,
that's how I've done it.
Well, you're a monster.
She does manage to hand over the casket, and he is able to put his foot down.
Oh God.
We do lose some charge or gain depending on your perspective.
Yes, and the Doctor, he is reading off, or he's speaking a poem. Now, we haven't heard the poem before, but the poem here does also call back to the episode The Magician's Apprentice, where Missy claims the Doctor stole the moon and the president's wife, and to Hellbent, where the Doctor claims the story of him stealing the moon and the president's wife was a lie put about by the Shobogans, which are the indigenous Gallifreyans. It was the president's daughter, and I didn't steal the moon, I lost it. Just a fun callback.
I knew this had to be a reference. There was way too much attention paid to it with no explanation for it not to be a reference. So that's very interesting.
Again, both Stephen Moffat episodes, so he's kind of tooting his own horn as it were here. So we get the mind stabilized. He thanks the name on the corpse, which says John Francis Vader, which summons the hologram.
Oh, Daddy Vader.
The AI hologram. Yeah, look, maybe a Star Wars reference. Could be. The AI kind of sugarcoats his death a little bit, saying he was humanely terminated on discovery of the fatal condition blindness.
Oh God, it's an actual fleshlight.
Oh God, was
I didn't pick it up till now. Fuck.
I didn't pick it up at all. Now you've ruined it for me.
Yeah. Which is
now I'll never be able to unsee this.
That was counter to how he felt. And then he was spared further suffering by the Valengard automated ambulance unit. Because the recovery was beyond acceptable parameters for a conflict as budgeted.
As budgeted was the key thing that bothered the hell out of me.
Yet another dig at the war industry.
It's the industrial complex at work.
His daughter Splice shows up, and she went from acting her age in the cold open to now acting like she's 5.
This was super weird. Like,
Daddy, where's my daddy? I need my daddy.
And really not understanding any of the things that were actually being shown to her throughout any of the following scenes. Like from this point on, even past the ending, as far as I'm concerned, she is completely incoherently more naive.
Yeah,
like unbelievably not able to understand a situation, not understand any of the implications of what's being said or what is being shown to her.
See, I could understand that after she found out her dad died, but this well before.
It's like this part was written for a 5-year-old.
Yeah, or yeah, like a different role, in fact. The thing that kind of caught my attention here too is that at this exchange that we meet Splice, or the protagonist meets Splice, she delivers a rapture story, and that was interesting, because like obviously we had already talked about the Anglican Marines or the I can't remember the exact moniker for them, but I know that they're Anglican.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if the Anglicans are if they're one of the denominations that subscribe to the rapture story.
They're a Christian sect.
Yeah, but not all Christian sects believe in the rapture.
True.
I want to say the Baptists don't.
It might be I think it's closer to Catholicism.
Yeah, Catholicism is like the proponent of the rapture myth. But so, I thought that was very interesting because like she totally buys into like that's how her mother passed, is that she got whisked up to heaven, and that kind of plays a role later on when they finally confront Splice about her father's condition. Like, oh no, he's not gone.
So yeah, she says that her mom got gathered up by God. Her mom obviously died, and then as the Anglicans would, oh, she's just at a better place. She's in heaven, and all that. Fine. I don't want to go too religious. I mean, granted, they are, but anyway. So yeah, we get an info dump that her mom is dead, and
burning right now.
The doctor introduces himself, asks who she is, and she says her name, which upon saying her last name, it summons her father's hologram, and she runs towards it. Daddy, Daddy!
As if you couldn't see that it was blue and pixelated.
Hey, this Force Ghost was realistic, okay?
In real life, people don't have scan lines.
I guess you have to get told that first when you're, when you don't really have developed object permanence because you're so young.
Yeah.
When you're 11? 12? I don't know how fucking old she is.
Splice runs towards the hologram. Ruby tries to stop her so that she doesn't set off the mine. They fall and get very close to setting off that mine. Uncomfortably close.
All I'm saying is, if we could recreate this with a Wii balance board, there's no way you'd survive this as the doctor. I do not have the balance necessary in order to do any of the acrobatics that were done here.
You underestimate the doctor.
All right.
I almost did a Bushism there.
An alien.
No, you fully did it.
I did.
Don't deny it.
Misunderestimated the compassion of our people. So we get that whole tense scene, and then the doctor, I keep hitting back on accident, begins glowing, and he realizes the mine isn't the bomb, he's the bomb.
See, this is an efficiency that you don't see often in the military-industrial complex. That's a reusable mine. That's a munitions-free mine. That
That's
right
not-
there is cost-saving, effective democracy.
They
Yeah,
also
but let's be
mention-
real. That's like
What?
the worst thing for a capitalist. You buy one and you're done.
That's true.
Well, and we do get that line several times. Keep you dying, keep you buying.
So we also get a mention earlier that the mines can move, can teleport somehow early on in the cold open.
Yeah, I think the first casualty of the episode mentions that. Well, they might have moved.
So Mundy shows up, and we get a very tense confrontation between her and the Doctor. Mundy notices that the Doctor is holding John Vader's body. We get the fun Mundy Sunday line. And Mundy takes a call from the guy she was talking to earlier, Kanto.
Canto bite.
Telling you.
Again, Virata Sethu, going to be in the next season. Be interesting. So, points are gone at the Doctor. Doctor asks who they're fighting, asks about the Casterions, which Mundy said that they were fighting, and he...
To be fair, he does get kind of aggressively
gets-
sarcastic
Oh,
here
yeah.
about the why don't you just get married and then it'll be Sunday, Monday, and I'll laugh all day long.
He's a bit of a jokester, kind of a playful, mischievous Doctor. I love it.
Yeah, I'm digging it too, but it was like the most mean-spirited, aggressive sarcasm I think I've heard in a long time, and I watch a lot of British television.
He was panicking, and I think he was just stream of conscious.
If I
most
don't get
human
this
he's
joke
ever
out,
been.
we're all gonna die.
Trying to diffuse the situation, try to lower his heart rate, lower his blood pressure, trying not to set
That
off the
was
mine.
not going to diffuse the situation.
So yeah,
And we get
They
yet
explain-
another callback to the fact that yet again, this series is so woke. There are no straight characters.
yeah, we get the
Oh my God.
Casterians. The mention of the Casterians. They're fighting a war against an unknown enemy. No one has seen them. I'm sure there's a social commentary in there somewhere.
Couldn't
I didn't-
imagine that has anything to do with Vietnam.
I didn't feel like digging too much into that one.
Or
There's probably a lot of other things too, but the thing that it made me that it reminded me of was like our response to a lot of the conflict in Vietnam, where guerrilla war tactics were really used. A lot of friendly civilians were collateral damage. You know, like you never knew if, when, what enemy, nothing. Like it was all confusing, and because it was so ambiguous and confusing, you get a lot of manipulation of the soldiers who end up pulling the triggers.
Mm-hmm.
you can say that in the last couple of wars too, though.
Doctor,
Yeah,
Doctor.
I mean that's continued since then. That
Yeah.
just happened to be the example that came to mind.
Doctor makes kind of a passing comment that there are no enemies, and Mundy explains that the Doctor is basically already dead. She might as well have said "Omaiwa mo shinderu."
Nani?
The mine will fail safe.
So,
So-
has the name Castarians come up in the series before?
Not to my knowledge. It's possible. Let's see. I don't believe so. No, I'm not finding anything.
I didn't know if that was a reference to like him going like, huh, of course you think it's the Castarians, you fools.
Well, because they're on Casterian 3, which the Doctor did mention earlier is usually a barren planet.
I think
Nothing
he mentions
here.
it later after this.
Maybe.
that you're fighting. You declared war on a dead planet. I think. Is
Yeah,
the line.
because she
Oh,
specifically
nope.
says they're in the mud.
It was earlier because, and I didn't have a screenshot for this, but when he makes that, so no one chokes to death before they're safely shot, that's the moment where Ruby is noticing, as the drones suck away all the smoke, that she is on an alien planet for the first time. She looks up at the alien sky, and he says, Casterian 3, it's basically an empty planet. Wonder what a war zone's doing all the way out here.
He does mention that, like, who would fight here?
So, let's see. Not quite yet. Doctor asks how the immolation works, and Mundy explains that it's DNA-based. Mundy then repeatedly shoots him in the arm to try to drop the casket.
Hell of a grip.
What?
Hell of a grip. That's all I'm saying.
Shooting calls the ambulance over because of the combat. And the doctor explains to Mundy that if he blows up, he is going to create a very big boom. Everywhere is a beach at some point.
Yeah,
he will literally glass
we
this
get
half
we get
of the
that
planet.
we get that line a few times, which might, I don't know, that might have been some foreshadowing. Not sure. We'll see how that plays out. But I love how he plays into the whole, I'm an extra universal being, and if you explode me, it like he says like 2 or 3 things that make him be like, hey, bud, I'm a god.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which
the Mundy then,
which to a new viewer is like, okay, what the fuck is this Doctor Who being?
Who is the Doctor? The ultimate question.
The
question what must never be answered. Doctor
42.
Who? Mundy scans confirms that he will blow up half the planet. We then get the ambulance arriving and the Doctor finally seeing a Susan Twist character. The first time. The ambulance then probes the Doctor, and it kind of glitches out because it can't really scan him because he's not human. Ruby then grabs Mundy's gun and tries to draw the ambulance away. Mundy then says, hey, you need to shoot me. The ambulance needs a patient. And at this moment, Canto arrives.
10 feet away, and here's the entire goddamn conversation.
Well,
I mean, there was not a whole lot of excuse here.
He sees Ruby pointing a gun at Mundy and shoots Ruby. The Doctor looks just very grief-stricken, just shocked.
Just shoot her, unloads an entire clip into her chest.
Proper cop style.
I was going to make a comment there. I'm not going to.
There was no acorn.
Not going to.
And this part of the episode did not make it in the final cut.
I'm not really cutting anything, so it's going to be stream of consciousness here. Ruby falls down the crater, and
was it just me, or did anybody else think that the Doctor was about to go like, okay, fuck it?
Yeah.
If this were David Tennant's Doctor, probably would have.
Oh my God, David would have done it.
You want to mess with me? I still have more power in this situation than you think I'm willing to use.
Christopher's Doctor would have most definitely have done it.
If there was a Dalek here, absolutely. I don't know if there wasn't a Dalek, maybe not.
I don't know, man. If he would have saw Rose in that state, he would have just.
The Doctor is kind of panicking. He can't do anything because he can't step off the mine. Normally, he would run over and check on her. Can't do that.
How often do we get an episode without the sonic screwdriver?
In New Who, not often.
Well, I guess we got one today.
We did.
I mean, we got an entire first season with out a sonic screwdriver.
When?
First Doctor. I know for a fact that he didn't really have a screwdriver yet at that point.
Are you talking like the very first Doctor?
That is one hell of
Correct.
a contrived response. How dare you?
Well,
you should not be proud of this.
We will pause on the review for a moment. So the first Doctor did not have a sonic screwdriver. The second Doctor had a sonic and used it in like 2 or 3 story arcs. And it was just that. It was a screwdriver. It unscrewed and screwed screws using sound.
I did see there was a theory that the first Doctor had like a flashlight that was like the prototype.
That was the second Doctor, and it was a little pen light. The third Doctor is the one that really started using it for other things, most notably a door handle.
Ginger ale.
And then the fourth Doctor used it a lot. Halfway through the fifth Doctor's run, the sonic screwdriver was destroyed, and then we didn't have another sonic until the Sixth Doctor movie in 1996. It didn't get used, but it did get shown on screen. So, little fun fact.
And then David Tennant and Matt Smith had a competition of whose was bigger.
Oh,
Matt Smith was compensating.
I feel like at this point we can no longer include Doctor Who on our Trivial Pursuit nights.
Not if we're going to get Scott.
This was the fourth Doctor Sonic, just as a by the way. I just happen to have mine handy. So, anyway, Ruby is dying. The ambulance comes over, probes her, identifies her as 3,082 years old, which could be 2 possible things here. One, it could just be how long from 2024 she is. From her birth year, I should say. Which would make sense.
From her birth year, yeah.
If she is indeed Susan Foreman or a Time Lord, that could also be explained there. Cannot find the next of kin.
I feel like it was. I feel like it was implied to the viewer that was the distance they were in the future from her birth year.
Sure, implied, but with Doctor Who,
I chose my words very carefully, good sir.
Oh yes, with Doctor Who, you never know.
Right. So the next of kin error is interesting, but I don't know. Does that give us any clues as to whether that would be more explainable if she were a Time Lord, or if it were just the fact that she's a product of a space-time anomaly? Like, is there any precedent within the series for something like this? Does it harken back to the body scan that was done by the other Doctor?
It could just be that time is in flux, and if she dies here, she's not going to have a next of kin. It could also just be that there's something else going on, and we don't know. We won't find out until the end of the season, probably.
And I guess it wasn't really necessarily implied, but or stated, I should say, but
well, it's kind of a
was it saying like next of living kin?
Well, it's kind of like throwback to Road to what is it? The Road to the Christmas special, where she's
Road?
Ruby Road, where she is actively trying to find her next of kin, her mother, and finds nothing. I found it more of a throwback to that too.
Well, like if she were in the future and her ancestral line were to continue on, would that machine find the next of kin in that timeline, or the next of kin to her? My next of kin would presumably be my son or daughter or my parents. But if I'm in a timeline where my 4th generation and great grandson, whatever, existed, like is there like we don't have any idea what it would bring back at that point.
I assume it would have listed off the lineage to if anyone was living. But yeah, we really don't know. And at this point, it begins to snow on the battlefield. Yet another episode with snow. We've had it every episode so far.
Every episode with Ruby.
So, something's going on. Still don't know what.
This is the only episode where the snow behaves differently, though.
Yes, the snow does freeze in midair. Now, this is also a callback to Twice Upon a Time. I think that was where the 12th Doctor meets the First Doctor, because the snow froze there because there was a kind of a paradox going on. So possibly paradox here.
Is this where has he started yelling at having the argument about faith with his combatants at this point yet?
Not yet.
To surrender.
That will be soon. So we then get the landmine getting even closer to going off. The ambulance states that treatment is withheld because Ruby is non-ordained. A kind of a dig at how religious zealots will refuse to serve and treat those who are not part of their religion.
Mm-hmm. Or be properly buried.
Gets very tense here. Mundy asks what they can do to prevent the mine from going off. And
now you have faith. We get this religion blinding commentary here, which is very apropos.
He's also fought the devil.
He has also fought the devil. We'll get to that at some point. So Canto then tries to reprogram the ambulance to help her. The Doctor tells Mundy, surrender, lose, give in. The Doctor explains that it would shut off the landmine because it's their landmine. Ruby gets very close to dying. We get another thoughts and prayers. The Doctor is trying to keep calm.
I think it's the thing here that the line that really got me out of this was, "Oh, now you want proof, faith girl."
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the Doctor explains how the Anglican Marines ended up fighting a non-existent enemy to keep the money flowing to Vilengard. We get a mention of how misplaced faith can be detrimental. And then I have that line, "Oh, now you need proof, faith girl."
Faith girl.
So the Doctor tells just her, the look that she kind of gives him when he says that. Right. Doctor talks to the Vader AI, tells him to hack the ambulance and download into the Vilengard computer to gather evidence that the planet is uninhabited. He tells the AI to shut up and Google.
That was a fun little throwaway line.
The AI refuses, and the Doctor appeals to the part of the AI that is still a father, which does manage to convince him.
Yeah, we get some evidence that the supplemental AI that is given to these coffins is not fully in control and actually does leverage a bit of the personality that it contains. And we see an example, very Westworld-esque, of the sentience taking over.
Get the Doctor asking how much of the countdown is left, and we get told 3 minutes.
Or less.
At this point, the episode becomes an episode of Dragon Ball Z, where
they 3 minutes all started screaming.
Where the 3 minutes seems to last an eternity. Mundy goes over and talks to Kanto while Kanto is trying to hack the ambulance. Kanto realizes that Mundy actually does like her. And at this point, the ambulance takes advantage.
Get over the forehead with it.
Yeah. The ambulance takes advantage of the distraction and kills him. Becomes a hologram.
Almost instantly.
We don't see his tube. We don't see his fleshlight, though.
We don't. The message
welcome,
that he had recorded in case he died was set to go to Mundy. He professes his love and admits that he knows Mundy doesn't love him back. And when he wrote that, he never really knew her true feelings. And Mundy feels responsible for his death.
Man, if only we could go back in time.
Fixed point in time at that point.
If only this was a time travel laden series.
The fixed point. His death had to happen. Fix the situation.
So we're going with a hard determinism level of time travel. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, we've seen what happens.
If it's hard determinism, then there are no stakes.
We've seen what happens when the Doctor tries to change a fixed point in history. It doesn't end very well.
It gets fucked
up. So at that point, we have many ambulances showing up.
And
all repeating
thoughts and prayers.
All thoughts and prayers.
It's a herd of my worst nightmare of Daleks.
Doctor realizes that there is a firewall, and he realizes that the AI is going to fail and tells them to run. And they kind of respond, well, doesn't matter how far we run in this amount of time, we're not going to make it far enough. So they kind of settle down and resign themselves to their deaths.
Again, the child completely not understanding the level of the situation. Like, oh, we're gonna die.
I'm gonna skip forward for a second here because the Doctor gets asked what'll become of Splice, and he says, "I think she'll make a good president someday."
Yeah,
a president like Biden.
Yeah, that was like, if you took that in a vacuum, it was supposed to be inspirational. Like, yes, the children of tomorrow, but like the acting and the coherence of her behavior.
God damn.
I mean, you could take it either of the two ways. It could have played.
She did fall going down the stairs.
So the Vader AI turns into Susan Twist, and the AI explains that John's AI.
Did she not look like she was in Scrubs?
Well, she's supposed to be a nurse because she's part of the ambulance. Scrubs.
Oh, the ambulance. Yeah. Got it. Scrubs. All right. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, she explains that John's AI has been deleted, and the landmine announces that it will fail safe shortly.
Oh yeah, we didn't cover the part where they info dump the mine twice earlier.
I also feel like the landmine doesn't understand the use of failsafe.
You haven't moved off of me?
I'm not sure this was a fail condition.
Well, if it fails to determine that there's an enemy, it'll just do its thing anyway, and that's considered its failsafe.
Yeah, that's like the most horrifying version of a failsafe I've ever heard.
But as if a rock falls on it and it's just slightly moving.
It's a war, man. It's a war.
And to kill horrible. People. Like, imagine the failsafe on a Claymore mine going like, oh, I've lost sensors in front, might as well explode behind. And like, what do you like? Come on.
I mean, that'd be a pretty sick ass Claymore, just saying.
No, it would be a Claymore that existed in this episode.
We get the mine then counting down. 3, 2, 1. Kiss, kiss. And the
fucking
Vader AI pulls through.
some great plot armor. In fact, yeah.
Daddy Vader came back from the dead.
It hacks the
He's a
Valengard
Blue Force
computer.
ghost. It's way apropos.
Ruby gets revived. The mine deactivates. All in rapid succession. We get our Deus Ex Machina, our big red button, if you will. That actually happened in an episode. There was literally a big red button.
Well, are you talking about my favorite episode?
No.
'Cause there
I'm
was a
talking
big
about
red
Journey
button.
to the Center of the TARDIS.
Well, there was a big red
Yeah.
button in that episode too.
We don't care about that button.
How dare
was-
you?
It was literally a big red button that basically undid everything and fixed it. It was frustrating. It was a very frustrating episode for me.
It's a reset button. Yay!
Yeah.
What's this button do?
The Doctor then checks on Ruby and is very over the moon, really, about
Yeah, was
surviving
this
this.
Again, we get some high-class, world-class level acting from our 5-year-old actress here, overjoyed atop the grave of her father.
Yay, Daddy!
This was super weird, and I did not like this scene. I hated the music that was in this scene, and frankly, the cavalier attitude from someone who started this entire problem by being, someone's in help, just went, several people have died, I'm happy mine survived.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes, though. He's
Yeah,
very
it's
happy, says he
that's
can't
Doctor.
explain it in words, but tries to explain it in a drum beat. We get a mention that this is October the 5th. Is that a passing reference, or is it foreshadowing?
Remember the 5th.
Is something going to happen on October 5th? I don't know. We then get a mic drop.
I hated this.
A literal mic drop.
I hated that.
This is where we start getting very meme-ish, very fourth Wall-y, but not quite fourth Wall-y. We don't get that until a few moments later.
So we get the group looking over the horizon.
Very clearly in front of a green screen.
Oh, that's the volume.
Yeah.
Which is basically a high-tech version of a goddamn green screen.
No,
We
no,
also-
it's white.
We also
White
get
screen.
the shot of the Doctor here that was used in the trailer.
Oh.
We get
Did this not look like the exact scene from Kenobi?
kind of.
God damn it.
Like literally the final episode of Kenobi. It like she's got the right robes on. She's got like at least a similar hair
Yo,
texture and style.
Leia was never this dumb.
But she was MacGuffin laden, so I don't know. I mean,
Leia
Doctor says he wants
was
to move
never
on.
this
He explains
dumb.
his stance on faith as, well, just because I don't like it doesn't mean I don't need it.
I thought this was really just punched like really hedging your bets kind of thing. Like, yeah, we're gonna make a stance against faith, and then it's like, but you need it.
I felt it was more like certain people need it.
We also get a
But
couple
if the Doctor,
of
an extra universal God, needs faith,
I mean, he did fight the devil.
doesn't take faith.
And
that becomes
his
fact.
army
Like,
of
I don't think
legion.
you understand what faith means at that point.
the Doctor's
If you
actually
know-
fought two different versions of the devil. I just want to point that out.
Oh shit, he
You
did.
know the devil exists and he's part of a pantheon that is defined by the religion of Christianity. It's not faith, it's fact, and you can still fucking hate it.
Because the Doctor
And
fought the
you
devil
don't
in the
fucking
Satan
need
pit.
it.
And he
Yeah.
fought the devil in the book and audio adventure Scratchman.
Oh.
Really good, by the way. Written by Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor. I want to point that out. We get a couple of very, very obvious 11th Doctor references about popping in every now and then and fish fingers and custard.
This is where I think we very, very clearly are going to be coming back here for season 2. Whether we keep Ruby with us in season 2 is yet to be seen.
Well, they did say Ruby will be in season 2, although she's going to have a lesser role. She's going to be not the primary companion, from what I understand.
Which is upsetting, actually. because she is phenomenal.
We
Yeah,
get
quite enjoying her so far.
the line, dying defines us. Snow isn't snow until it falls. We all melt away in the end, but something stays. And then an old man told him, what survives of us is love.
Not all of these lines are delivered all at once. There are several cuts in between them. The first line that's delivered directly to camera is dying defines us. And then it cuts immediately after that. So that is our first and pretty much our only fourth wall break, because the last three shots of the other three lines are kind of delivered in a 1,000-yard stance, a 1,000-yard stare. Like they're kind of looking past the camera.
Yeah, they did a real good job
to my eyes, when the doctor turns around, he looks directly in the camera and says, dying defines us.
So I definitely
slow and miserable.
I definitely think that by the end, not necessarily of this season, but by the end of Shooty's run, that he is going to find out that he is in an alternate universe where he is in a TV show. And I think that that is compounded by the fact that the Mavity line is still around. It is still Mavity in this universe and not Gravity. In Space Babies, on the holographic computer, when he translated it from the Cantonese, it said Mavity and not Gravity. We're still rolling with Mavity.
I didn't even catch that.
No, but was unaware of that.
That was a thing that happened in Wild Blue Yonder, which is also the episode where the Doctor called upon superstition with the line of salt at the edge of the universe, which allowed the Toymaker back in and kind of broke down the walls of the universe, if you will.
Has the Doctor ever been in a TV show before?
No.
Known that he's in a TV show?
But
he's not in a show, but he's in a game.
In Remembrance of the Daleks, it's basically confirmed that the show Doctor Who exists in the universe of Doctor Who. It's weird. But Doctor has been outside of the universe before, but not quite to this extent, if that is the case.
We're not going like Galaxy Quest level of like, we watched your show. You're real heroes.
So we then get...
Don't ignore me, Alex. You know you love that movie.
We get another shot of
surrounded by
Splice, Mundy, and the hologram of Vader. Still kind of looking
very
at...
reminiscent of the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but from 1977 when Hayden stood there waving at us.
It wasn't even the year.
It's 1983. Come on, man.
I know, but I like to hurt him.
So
I think I'm done for the rest of the episode. I think I'm spent. That was too much pain. I did not sign up for this in my contract.
We've got like 2 minutes left.
I'm still dead inside.
We get the TARDIS dematerializing, leaving a shot of Mundy, Splice, and hologram John. Then we get a single snowflake coming up to the camera. And we get a preview of the next episode, which I don't have any screenshots of. It appears like the next episode is going to be a Dr. Light episode. Those have been hit or miss.
Yeah.
Dr. Light?
So occasionally they will have an episode where it focuses mainly on the companion or on someone else entirely. Blink, the first episode with the Weeping Angels, is an example of a good Dr. Light episode. Love and Monsters is an example of a bad Dr. Light episode.
No, it's
so great. We'll see.
It's a great episode.
Was it
something?
This is probably me having wishful thinking, but in the epilogue shots, I was like, "Oh, is she realizing that Susan is following her?"
Something.
Did anybody else get that vibe but me?
Kind of, but something.
Say Susan is the mother.
Could be her from the future.
I was thinking that Susan was almost playing like a poltergeist-esque role at this point. I'm not really picking up the like mother daughter vibe per se.
Or
She wanted her mother dead, her daughter.
it could be a Clara-like situation, but instead of going into the Doctor's timeline, she went into Ruby's timeline, or went back in on her own timeline and was fragmented. Anyway,
You'll find out.
something I did notice during the end credits is that they have brought back the middle 8 of the Doctor Who theme. I'm so overjoyed by that. It's something that's been missing for so long. It's a part of the Doctor Who theme that da 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 da, da, and it's something that they had in classic Doctor Who that they have not had in New Who until now.
Oh, so they've altered the theme over the years.
Yeah. Oh,
Slightly.
Yeah.
Just like the TARDIS, even though it's camouflage, it's broken. The outside of the TARDIS changes slightly all the time.
Yeah, pretty frequently.
So stick
overall,
around for after the season is over for our 5-hour episode where Scott and Josh explain the inane shit that I missed for the entirety of that episode.
We're going to be doing best ofs, worst of, and classic reviews as well when this season is done.
It's just going to be a bunch of me going, what?
Alex,
we'll get you caught up on the lore.
A preview of fucking Love and Monsters.
You think you?
No, not the implied fellatio with a concrete slab. No.
I didn't tell him that part.
No.
Everybody loves a good implied fellatio.
It will
with a concrete slab.
Hey, it's got.
Hey man, I've seen the statue of David.
It's got a pretty mouth.
Oh, it's reverse rolls? Oh, snap.
It's
and thus we know why the angel wept.
Oh god.
So what'd you guys think of the episode? Alex, let's start with you. What did you think of the episode?
You start with me or Josh?
You.
He said Alex.
All right. I thought it was great. I honestly I thought it was really up there with the last episode. Had a completely different feel, different vibe, different background. Everything about it was very anthology level, where you didn't have to be connected to the last episode. So I dig the way that the storytelling is going so far, where there's if you're paying attention to it as a series, it has payoffs, but that was self-contained. I'd definitely give it an easy 8 out of 10. That was really good. I love the social commentary and the shots taken towards the evils of war.
What do you think, Josh?
I actually really enjoyed this episode. I wasn't the biggest fan of the last two, even though they had great parts. The writing of them kind of sucked, in my opinion. And this episode felt actually like Doctor Who to me. After, I'm a fan of the 11th Doctor, so it's the closest I felt to it yet.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the budget for this one felt more evenly dispersed, more equitably dispersed. It kind of gave me the campy vibes that I've been told that Doctor Who thrives on, more so than the first two. Like, the thing that I love about the second one is very clearly, and I'm not hiding this at all, is very much the maestro. Pacing was odd in that episode. The writing was definitely odd in that episode too, but
yeah, like
it felt like it was trying much more to be a high budget entity, and I feel like this episode kind of made it shine more that it doesn't need to be, and maybe ought to not be.
What do you give it out of 10, Josh?
This episode, I'd probably actually give it about a 7. 7.5. 7.3.
So this will be the highest rated that you've given any of these 3 episodes that we reviewed.
Yeah, because the last episode, I believe I gave it a 5, and then the Space Baby was like a 2 or a 3.
I loved this episode. It was definitely a kind of a return to form, if you will. It definitely had a lot of Moffatisms, a lot of ego stroking from Moffat, if you will, where he references a lot of his past work, which I quite like. I like the references, and I like kind of having to dig for those references a little bit too. I liked the political stance. Oh, it's so woke. I like that. I like that about Doctor Who. Yeah, I would say
No one's making you watch it, man.
Yeah, I'd say
Scott's literally making us watch this.
Oh shit.
I'd say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Good episode. I like it. Next episode looks interesting too. Excited for that one. And I can't wait. I can't wait till we start going back through Doctor Who and you get some more of that lore. Good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that very much. I do have a question for the two of you lore masters over here. How would you have improved this episode to give it a higher score? I guess
change the child.
Yeah, that's really what's dragging it down.
Yeah, anything else other than that obvious one?
Not really, no.
Yeah,
I think that the writing of her character drug it down those 2 points.
I think I'd be willing to give you that too. I think that really
change the faction to Torchwood.
What?
Torchwood's gone.
No, it can't be.
But we are going to get other spin-offs, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Oh, Torchwood. Oh, okay. I was not catching the reference. I still don't understand the implications, but I know of that.
How bad do you want to cry for Captain Jack?
We need to introduce him to Captain Jack before we have him watch anything to do with Torchwood.
So much homework.
And then we have to introduce him to the face of Bo as well.
At some point, we're going to have to do watch parties.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, that would be another fun thing to do, especially with Classic Who, because it's available on archive.org. We could easily do watch parties with that.
A lot less restrictions on Patreon than YouTube as well.
So I have made a decision on how we're going to go forward with YouTube and Patreon and video and audio. So for the rest of our reviews for this season, we are going to continue putting those out audio only on Spotify. We're going to put those out video on YouTube. And then when the season's over and we start doing our older episode reviews, it'll be audio only on Spotify, audio only on YouTube. And then if you wanted to join our Patreon, at that point, I think it's $5 to get the actual video. Then you can watch our videos of our reviews. But I think that's how we're going to go.
There's quite a few seasons of Doctor Who to get through, so no depth that we can plumb for that amount of content. So
well, let's see. There's 26
a good long amount of time.
There's 26 classic seasons, and then we are on season 15 of New Who, I think. 14 or 15?
Season 1.
Well, obviously that's what they're calling it, but since the reboot, I think this is the 14th or 15th season. So, yeah, lot of Doctor Who.
And the way that well, here's the deal, folks. If the old Who is not woke, we won't have much to talk about. So I guess there's not a whole lot there. But wait, we probably will find something to talk about because it's probably been woke the whole goddamn time.
Fucking
it has.
Captain Jack, goddammit.
Again, the Green Death, Inferno, pretty much all of the Third Doctor era was very political. What's funny is people were complaining during Jodie Whittaker's era that Doctor Who had gotten too woke, but during Jodie Whittaker's era, it was actually the least political that it had ever been.
Yeah, they're just upset that it wasn't a male, I guess. Like
it was veiled sexism. Yeah.
It's so lame. That is so lame.
And we're seeing a lot of people hating on this era of Doctor Who, and it's thinly veiled racism. A lot, not all of it, but a lot of it is. It's unfortunate. There's
the
a-
only thing I'm hating on is just the 2 episodes so far, and it's strictly writing.
I'm not even hating on them. Like, they're not my favorites, but they're not the worst Doctor Who I've ever seen.
Does
And
The characters themselves, though, I fucking
Does
love.
any part of any of these episodes have anything to do with the fact that the Doctor has a penis and happens to not be white?
no,
Does
No.
any of that has that come up at all? Does it matter? Has it ever mattered? Like, why are you so invested in this shit?
and this is me speaking as a classic fan, and that's a lot of the people that have complained about a woman being the Doctor, a person of color being the Doctor. A lot of those you see are toxic classic Who boomer fans,
Mm-hmm. I bet.
which is unfortunate because the Doctor's always been about inclusion and change and being progressive. Get over it.
Well, it's just a shame that they got to Star Trek and I didn't say anything, and then they came for my Doctor Who and I still didn't say anything.
Don't forget our Star Wars.
Well, yeah, that too. Like,
They
oh,
turned
good
Jar Jar
grief.
Binks into a homeless clown on Naboo. I wouldn't
Okay.
say
He
that
kind of got
anymore.
a pseudo redemption arc in that. You do not lampoon Chut Windage. I will not. I will not stand for this on this channel. This is not what this channel is about.
I fucking know your buttons.
All right.
Oh my god, I hate this so much. I tell you too many things.
All right. Well, with that, I think we'll
We
go
discuss
ahead
those fucking books too much.
and call the episode here. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with a review of the next episode. I didn't catch the title of the next episode. Did you guys?
Oh shit. I did
Something
not.
Something Scotland Ghost Lady.
No, it wasn't Scotland. It was Wales. You monster.
It is Wales.
That was land. There was no whale.
73 yards. And that airs in 2 days. That airs on Saturday.
Actually, according to the Disney Plus I had, they come out midday Friday.
I didn't see the one on Friday. You know what? If it comes out midday Friday and we have time to watch it, we might be able to discuss it after stream. It would be
Not this
it'd be
week.
pushing it a little bit, I think.
I was like,
Not this week.
I was gonna say he's
Yeah.
got a guest.
Well, and I don't have time to do the notes and get the screen caps and everything in that short of amount of time. So
Take the day off.
anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back next week with the review of 73 Yards. Hope you join us. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Make sure you check us out on Spotify. If you're watching us on Twitch, links to our YouTube, well, a link to our YouTube is down below in the About section. If you're watching us on YouTube, we should have links in the description below. And same if you are on Spotify listening to us. So we will see you all then. Have a great week and a great weekend.
Bye bye.